Welcome back to the Golf Industry Show here in 2019 in San Diego, California. This is GCSAA TV Live, sponsored by Lebanon Turf, and we are underway here, and the trade show floor looks awful busy, and I am joined by an old pal and an organization near and dear to my heart, and really a success story of why these things are so important. Luke Sella is the executive director of the We Won Foundation. Mike Brule's the golf course superintendent at Green Haven Golf Club in Anoka, Minnesota. And we're going to get to that particular part of this story. But Luke, this is our second or third time doing this together. Sure. Might be the first time people are hearing about this. Tell us a little bit about the We Won Foundation.
Sure. So the We Won Foundation was started in 2004 in memory of a fond friend of many, Wayne Otto. I know that you knew him. And, Wayne contracted a terrible disease and fought a brave fight, but eventually succumbed to it. Mm-hmm. And his friends got together at the time to help him out, to raise some funds so he could seek some treatment. Right. And after he passed, the friends still got together and said, you know what we did for him was a wonderful thing. Yeah. And we work in a great industry where people love each other and really support one another, and thought, let's keep this going.
Well, and Wayne, I think the reason to me, and of course I got all this history with it, but it was sudden. It was a shock. He was so full of life. He was just entering this other phase of his life. You could see that there was this other excitement coming to him after you make the transition. And then to lose him so quickly, I think, that everybody wanted to do something, and this has really been a wonderful legacy for him. It would have been the kind of thing he'd have loved knowing was named at him, especially because of the way the name came about. So tell us how the name came about.
So he and his friends were playing golf in Ireland.
Degenerate Wisconsin golfers, of course.
Pretty much, if you want to call them that. And they were on the first tee, and as the caddies do, they were talking about whose bag they were going to carry, and certainly setting wagers on the golfers, and one of them said...
Wayne, wager? No.
The caddies were wagering, and one of them said, my money's on the We Won, and meaning Wayne, and it stuck, and that's kind of our tribute to him and the legacy.
So how long is the organization? Since 2004?
2004.
And so you generally do, what is the primary goal of the We Won Foundation?
The primary goal is to help people in our industry that have suffered, from catastrophic medical expenses and illnesses. Mm-hmm. And, it's just a wonderful way for the industry to support somebody, someone to get behind someone who's ill. And I always explain to folks, nobody asks to get sick.
No.
It just happens.
Yes.
And it throws people's lives in turmoil.
That's right.
And
so being able to alleviate some of the financial stress is, I think, what you raise money, and we'll get to that part of the We Won Foundation in a minute. But the more important thing that we were talking about Mike earlier was that, it's an opportunity. You have that financial stress, but there's something about when your peers are looking out for you, where you had to reach out for a colleague, Mike. So let's talk about how you got involved with Luke and the We Won Foundation.
I reached out to one of the members of the We Won Foundation, Dale Parsky, and he...
Not Dale Parsky. Oh my goodness. You couldn't find anybody better looking than Parsky?
He got me in contact with Luke, and I wrote a letter for a good friend, colleague, longtime superintendent in the Minneapolis area, and
so he was having some health issues,
yes,
or some personal stuff in his life?
He was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer in March of last year, and went through treatment, had surgery in July, another round of treatment, and just in January he was diagnosed cancer-free.
Congratulations. So when were you notified by We Won that we were going to be working with them?
I sent a letter in May to Luke, and right away, first part of June, they let me know that they could do something, and
all right.
Dale
so you're a softie like me, so I'm going to kill you with this one. So you do this. Now you have to tell your friend you've done this. What's that like?
That was I thought he was.
I'm going to start crying.
Thought he was going to be mad at me.
No kidding.
He's a former Marine, tough guy, and but I explained it to him, and he was good with it.
He was. It's interesting. Sometimes we have a hard time taking help, right? I think we have to be these sort of tough people, and we sort of forget that there's this compassionate side we have to keep. And it seems like you had a connection with this person, you saw what was happening, you wrote the letter, you reached out, you get to talk to him. I'm assuming that sort of made a difference.
Yes, yep.
And his family as well?
Yes.
Yes, so that must have been nice for them to know that the industry was supportive of that.
They're so appreciative of what the We1 has done and what they do, and they're just overjoyed with the blessing they received.
Great. So now you have this great experience with Luke and the We1 Foundation. What would you tell other people who might be thinking of the same sorts of things, see a friend in need? What moved you to ultimately do it that you'd tell somebody else to go and do it?
You know, it just touched my heart that a guy that I've known forever was suffering, and I wanted to be able to help him, and I knew the We1 was a possibility, and you just have to reach out and do it. And
it wasn't hard writing the letter.
No.
Harder part telling him that you were gonna that it came through.
Telling him that I wrote the letter and this is what I wanted to do was the hardest part.
So it's January or February in Minnesota, so thankfully he's not on the golf course. Is he planning on getting back to work?
Yes, he is back.
He is back.
Almost full time now, back
news.
And
so big shout out to that person,
yes.
and that the We1 Foundation was able to come in, and big congratulations to you for stepping up to do it, because I think it's as important to ask for help, right, as it is to receive the help.
Right.
So thankfully he received it and didn't go all marine on you.
No.
Okay. All right, Luke, so obviously this is a wild success story, right? And writes a letter, you get to look at it. What's the process when the letter comes in and you guys deciding how to help? Because obviously you can't help everybody. Do you get more letters than you can handle sometimes?
You know, the
That'd
attitude,
be a good problem to have in some ways.
The attitude of the board is that, you know, if there's money in the bank and there's somebody in need that meets the qualifications and specifications set forth in our mission statement, we have to get that money to the person. So, you know, and we've kind of lived by that, if there's a will, there's a way. There's been times where we've got a bunch of requests coming in and we look at the bank account and all of a sudden it's like, how are we going to do this? But, you know, it's always worked out.
Excellent. So it works out because there's funds that everybody's contributing, and of course a lot of people here are contributing to this.
Right.
Talk about the way you go about raising those funds and maybe how listeners, watchers could help.
Sure. You know, the easiest way is to join. We have a membership. It's $75 a year, and we always say it's one of those memberships you hope you never need type of thing.
That's right.
It's basically a way to help continue what we do. That's all at we1.org. If you see an event, if you see something going on, attend it, go to it, support it. We do several golf outings throughout the year.
So you work with chapters throughout the country that want to do We1 events.
Yeah, what we found is it's just a wonderful way for oftentimes competing chapters to get together to raise funds for something that it's a common cause. The money's not going necessarily back to the chapter, but they're fundraising for something for the good of, the greater good of the industry.
That's right.
So we've had really good success with a few chapters like that.
Now it's a Midwest originated thing, right? Wisconsin, Wayne was a Wisconsinite, but obviously it's a Midwest thing as your involvement from Illinois. And so do you have particular sections of the country where it's been really successful? I'm imagining Minnesota is going to be one of those places too.
Minnesota's been fantastic for the last umpteen years. They've really, they've had an outing. They continue to do an outing in early October up at Brackett's Crossing, which has been fantastic for us. We have every other year, the folks out in Philly have been doing an event for us, down in Georgia every other year. So, it's truly a grassroots effort. We're slowly growing, and we keep making impacts, and people start to pay attention. And that's the one thing that our ask is, if you're interested in helping, come see us. We're at 4251 our booth, and let us know that you want to help. We'll find a way. There's many different ways to fundraise.
Excellent.
We have the tools. We have the administrative help to do it.
Because I think nowadays the need for these kinds of lifelines, if you will, right? Just enough to take a little bit of the stress away is going to be more and more important as time goes on, right? Everybody feels like there's a little bit of tightening pressure. Nobody asks to get sick.
Right.
To know that people are caring about you and be able to first reach out. Just knowing you wrote the letter, if nothing came of it, having them have the letter is probably a big thing. Supporting the We Won Foundation through the various ways we can raise money, and the koozies that you're giving out. So they can come to what booth number and get the koozies?
You know what? They're in the attendee bags.
The attendee bags have the We Won koozie. So if you'd like to support the We Won Foundation, stop by the booth, learn how to do some fundraising, find out how to help a friend in need. Mike will be hanging around the booth as well.
Right, Mike will
Great.
help out.
Well, Mike, thanks so much for what you've done. And Luke, always great to see you, brother. What a great tribute to a great man, right? Wayne Otto. And so we're live here at the Golf Industry Show 2019 in San Diego. GCSAA TV Live, brought to you by Lebanon Turf. We'll be right back.